G'day all, Noob 72 here. Welcome to episode 4 of yet another history of the world. We have a cracker of an episode today. We're going to be looking at the Archean Eon, which was the second historical eon. So without further ado, let's get cracking. The Archean Eon is one of the four major geological eons in Earth's history, spanning a vast period of time from approximately 4.0 billion years ago to 2.5 billion years ago. It is the second eon in Earth's history, following the Hadean Eon and preceding the Proterozoic Eon. The Archean Eon is characterized by significant geological, chemical, and biological events that laid the foundation for the development of life and the shape of Earth's surface. The formation of the Earth's crust. During the Hadean Eon, the Earth was a molten, chaotic mass with extreme volcanic activity and frequent asteroid impacts. As the planet gradually cooled, a process called crustal differentiation began to take place. This refers to the separation of the Earth's interior into distinct layers based on chemical composition and density. This process resulted in the formation of the Earth's crust, mantle, and core. The crust, composed mainly of less dense rocks such as granite and basalt, began to solidify as at the surface as it cooled, creating a stable outer shell. The composition of the Archean crust was significantly different from the present day Earth's crust. It was characterized by the dominance of mafic rocks, which are rich in iron and magnesium. These rocks include greenstones, basalt, and comatolites, which were formed through volcanic processes. Comatolites are particularly noteworthy because they represent some of the hottest lava flows in Earth's history. The presence of these mafic rocks in the Archean crust suggests that volcanic activity was a prominent geological feature of this time. Over time, as the Earth's surface continued to cool and solidify, the first continental land masses, or protocontinents, began to form. These early land masses are often referred to as cratons. Cratons are large, stable blocks of the Earth's crust that serve as the building blocks for modern continents. They are formed through the combination of volcanic activity, tectonic processes, and the accumulation of sediments. Archean cratons have distinctive features, including greenstone belts and granite gneiss complexes. Greenstone belts are sequences of volcanic and sedimentary rocks, while granite gneiss complexes represent ancient continental cores rich in granite and gneiss. The formation of the Earth's crust during the Archean Eon was a pivotal geological event. It marked the transition from a mostly molten, tumultuous planet to one with a solid, differentiated surface. The presence of a stable crust allowed for the accumulation of liquid water on the surface, which was crucial for the emergence and sustenance of early life forms. Additionally, the development of continental land masses during the Archean played a key role in shaping the Earth's surface and influencing geological processes in subsequent eons. Atmospheric evolution during the Archean Eon. Early in the Archean Eon, the Earth's atmosphere was vastly different from the modern atmosphere we know today. It is believed to have been primarily composed of gases such as methane, ammonia, water vapor, and carbon dioxide. This mixture of gases is often referred to as a reducing atmosphere because it lacked significant amounts of free oxygen. Molecular oxygen is a product of photosynthesis, and its abundance in the atmosphere was minimal during the early Archean. The introduction of oxygen into the atmosphere during the Archean Eon was a crucial development. Oxygenic photosynthesis is thought to have evolved in some of the earliest microorganisms, notably cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are ancient photosynthetic bacteria that can convert sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water into oxygen and organic compounds. This process began to release oxygen into the atmosphere. Initially, the oxygen produced by early synthetic life did not accumulate significantly in the atmosphere. This is because oxygen was consumed by various chemical reactions, including the oxidization of iron and other metals in Earth's crust and the reduction of sulfur compounds in the oceans. These processes acted as oxygen sinks, preventing the gas from accumulating in the atmosphere. The most significant shift in atmospheric composition during the Archean period, Eon, occurred around 2.4 to 2.3 billion years ago during an event known as the Great Oxygenation Event or the Oxygen Catastrophe. During the GOE, oxygen levels in the atmosphere were increased significantly due to the continued activity of cyanobacteria and a decrease in the effectiveness of oxygen sinks. This had profound consequences for life and geology on Earth. Oxygen levels became high enough to support the development of more complex aerobic or oxygen dependent life forms, which eventually led to the diversification of life. The rise of oxygen in the atmosphere had important geological implications. It led to the oxidization of iron in the Earth's crust, which resulted in the formation of iron-rich deposits, including banded iron formations, or BIFs. BIFs are distinct sedimentary rocks that are abundant in the geological record and are indicative of the presence of oxygen in the environment. They played a significant role in the history of Earth's geology and resource formation. As oxygen levels increased, the the atmosphere became more stable and the Earth's climate underwent significant changes. Oxygen in the atmosphere acted as a greenhouse gas, contributing to the regulation of temperature and climate on Earth. Following section might be a little bit repetitive, but I'm just going to go with it. Continental formation during the Archean Eon. During the Archean Eon, the Earth's surface was undergoing significant geological changes, including the formation of the first protocontinents or cratons. These early landmasses were smaller and less stable than modern continents, but served as building blocks for future continents. Cratons are large, stable blocks of the Earth's surface, and they are often found at the cores of modern continents. They consist of ancient rocks, including granite and gneiss, that have been subjected to intense geological processes over billions of years. Continental formation during the Archean often occurred through a combination of geological processes. Volcanic activity was a significant contribution to continental growth. Magma from the mantle would erupt at the surface, leading to the accumulation of volcanic rocks. Over time, these volcanic islands and landmasses contributed to continental landmasses. While the exact nature of Archean plate tectonics is still the subject of research and debate, some form of tectonic activity was likely responsible for the movement and interaction of early continental blocks. These processes contributed to the assembly of larger continental masses. Sediments eroded from existing land masses and were transported by rivers and deposited in sedimentary basins. Over time, these sediments accumulated and formed sedimentary rocks, contributing to continental growth. One of the distinct geological features associated with the Archean Eon is the presence of greenstone belts. These belts are composed of various rock types, including basalt and andesitic volcanic rocks, iron formations, and sedimentary rocks. They provide valuable insights into the geological processes that occurred during the Archean, including volcanic activity and the accumulation of sediments. In addition to greenstone belts, Archean continental land masses featured granite gneiss complexes. These are regions characterized by the predominance of granite and gneiss rocks. I don't know whether I'm saying that word properly. It's spelt Gneiss. I'm assuming that the G is silent. Granite is an igneous rock formed from the cooling and solidification of magma, magma deep within the Earth's crust. Gneiss is a metamorphic rock that forms when pre existing rocks, such as granite, undergo high levels of heat and pressure. The presence of these rocks indicates the existence of ancient continental cores. So I'm assuming you all know the difference between the three different rocks. You have sedimentary rocks, which are basically from sediments. You've got metamorphic rocks that go through and undergo change. They were through processes. And then you've got volcanic rocks, which are also called igneous rocks. You probably would have learnt that in science. Um, the Archean Eon witnessed a gradual increase in size and stability of continental land masses. As volcanic activity, tectonic processes, and sediment accumulation continued, or the protocontinents grew in size and complexity. Over the course of billions of years, these early continental blocks served as the foundation upon which more complex life forms would later evolve, and they played a crucial role in shaping the Earth's surface. The origin of life. Now, this is a debatable one here, just like in the Hadean period. During the Archean Eon, the Earth's environment was very different from today, characterized by volcanic activity, frequent lightning storms, and a lack of free oxygen in the atmosphere. Prebiotic chemistry refers to the formation of organic molecules from inorganic precursors. Under such conditions, it's believed that simple organic molecules such as amino acids and nucleotides could have formed through abiogenesis, which is a process of life arising from non-living matter. One famous experiment related to prebiotic chemistry is the Miller-Urey experiment, which demonstrated that amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, could be synthesized from basic um, inorganic components under simulated early Earth conditions, which included uh, the use of electric shock. Hydrothermal vent systems found in the deep ocean have been proposed as potential environments for the origin of life during the Archean. These vent systems release superheated mineral rich water into the ocean, creating chemical gradients and unique environments where life could have emerged. Some scientists suggest that hydrothermal vents may have provided the necessary energy and condition for the formation of complex organic molecules and early metabolic reactions. You have to realize that at this stage, life was microscopic. It's not something we could have seen with a naked eye. So it was really hard to see these things in the fossil records. The RNA world hypothesis suggests that RNA, or ribonucleic acid, a molecule capable of both storing genetic information and catalyzing chemical reactions, played a central role in the origin of life. RNA is thought to have preceded DNA as the genetic material and could have self replicated in an early prebiotic environment. Under this hypothesis, early life forms may have relied on relied on RNA molecules, both for information storage or genetics, and catalysts for essential chemical reactions or enzymes. Protocells are hypothetical structures that represent the precursors to modern cells. They likely consisted of simple lipid membranes that enclose self replicating molecules, possibly RNA. These protocells could have formed spontaneously, driven by the properties of lipids and the chemical conditions of the Archean Earth. While the focus is often on the origin of life on Earth, some theories suggest that life might have originated elsewhere in the universe and was delivered to Earth through comets, meteorites, or interstellar dust particles. If you remember, we touched on this in the previous episode. These extraterrestrial sources could have carried the building blocks of life to Earth, kick-starting the emergence of life during the Archean. Once life emerged during the Archean, it would have been relatively simple and likely composed of single-celled organisms. These early life forms would have undergone evolution and diversification over geological timescales, leading to the development of more complex life forms in subsequent eons, such as the Proterozoic. Impact events. Although direct evidence of impact craters from the Archean Eon is limited, scientists have identified several geological features that may be indicative of ancient impact events. Im- Impactite rocks are the result of the extreme pressure and heat generated by an impact event. These rocks can be found in regions where ancient impact structures have been eroded over time. While the preservation of Archean impact sites is rare, some formations dating back to this eon have been identified. For example, the Sudbury Basin in Canada, which is one of the largest known impact structures on Earth, is estimated to have formed during the Paleoproterozoic era but contains Archean rocks within it. Shock metamorphism occurs when um, high pressure shock waves generated by an impact event after alter minerals and rocks. These changes can include the formation of high pressure minerals and the presence of planar deformation features in quartz grains. The discovery of rocks displaying shock metamorphism features in Archean serines can be indicative of ancient impact events. These features suggest the intense pressures associated with an impact event. The geochemical signatures of impact events can also provide clues about their occurrence. For instance, the presence of elevated concentrations of certain elements, such as iridium and platinum group elements in Archean rocks, may suggest an extraterrestrial origin, as these elements are often associated with asteroids and comets. Over billions of years, the Earth's surface has undergone significant geological activity, including tectonic movements, um, erosion, and sedimentation. These processes can erase or alter the features of ancient impact structures, making them more challenging to identify. Dating impact structures from the Archean Eon is challenging because the geological record from this era is not well preserved. Radiometric dating methods, such as those used for younger impact structures, are often less effective in Archean rocks due to their extreme age. Climate changes. One of the most distinctive features of the Archean climate was the absence of free oxygen in the atmosphere. Molecular oxygen is essential for ozone formation, and without it, there was no protective ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. The lack of an ozone layer meant that Earth's surface was exposed to high levels of ultraviolet radiation from the sun. This intense UV radiation had a profound impact on the surface environment. The Archean climate was likely characterized by a strong greenhouse effect. The atmosphere contained significant levels of greenhouse gases, such as methane and carbon dioxide. The greenhouse gases would have trapped heat, resulting in a warmer climate than we experience today. Methane, in particular, is a potent greenhouse gas, and its presence in the Archean atmosphere may have contributed to a warmer Earth. Impact events such as asteroids or comet impacts were relatively common during the Archean Eon. These impacts could have significant climate effects, including the injection of dust and debris into the atmosphere, which would have blocked sunlight and caused temporary cooling, sometimes known as referred to as an impact winter. There is evidence to suggest that the Archean Eon experienced episodes of extreme cold and glaciation, sometimes referred to as snowball Earth events. During these periods, the entire planet may have been covered in ice, or at least large portions of it. The causes of these ice ages are still debated, but may have been related to changes in greenhouse gas concentration, variations in solar radiation, or other factors. The evolution of early life forms, particularly photosynthetic synthetic cyanobacteria, had a significant impact on the Archean climate. These microorganisms were capable of photosynthesis, which involved converting carbon dioxide into oxygen and organic compounds. The emergence of cyanobacteria and their photosynthetic activity gradually increased oxygen levels in the atmosphere, leading to the oxygenation of the planet and the development of an ozone layer. This increase in oxygen has had profound effects on climate and allowed for the evolution of more complex life forms. Studying the climate of the Archean Eon is challenging due to the limited geological record from this ancient era. However, researchers analyze ancient rocks, minerals, and isotopic ratios to reconstruct past climate conditions and study the presence of ancient glacial deposits and sedimentary rocks to infer climate conditions. The end of the Archean Eon. During the late Archean, the continental cratons that had formed earlier became more stable and less prone to widespread tectonic activity. The late Archean saw the formation of extensive granite gneiss complexes with cratonic regions. These complexes represent the cores of ancient continents and are primarily composed primarily of granite and gneiss rocks. They are also characterized by high-grade metamorphism, indicating that these continental cores had experienced significant geological heat and pressure. The late Archean marked a period of rising oxygen levels in the atmosphere, which was a result of the activities of photosynthetic microorganisms, including cyanobacteria. This gradual oxygenation of the atmosphere had profound implications for life on Earth, as it paved the way for the development of more complex, oxygen dependent organisms. Banded iron formations are distinctive sedimentary rocks composed of alternating layers of iron-rich materials, hematite and magnetite, and silica-rich minerals. They are abundant in the late Archean and early Proterozoic rocks. The formation of BIFs is closely tied to the increase in atmospheric oxygen. Iron dissolved in ancient oceans combined with oxygen, leading to the precipitation of iron oxides that formed the characteristic banded layers. The late Archean was a critical period for the evolution of life on Earth, while simple single-celled microorganisms had existed for much of the Archean Eon. The late Archean saw the emergence of more diverse microbial communities. The increase in oxygen levels allowed for the development of aerobic respiration, which provided a more efficient means of harnessing energy from organic compounds. This enabled more complex metabolic pathways and greater microbial diversity. There is evidence to suggest that the late Archean experienced intervals of extreme cold and glaciation, possibly resulting in snowball Earth scenarios where the planet was almost entirely covered in ice. These ice ages, if they occurred, could have been driven by changes in the composition of the atmosphere, such as variations in greenhouse gases. The end of the Archean Eon is marked by the beginning of the Proterozoic Eon, which spans from around 2.5 billion years ago to 4 to 541 million years ago. The Proterozoic saw the continuation of many geological and biological developments that had started in the Archean, including the diversification of life, the formation of stable continents, and changing climate conditions. Well, there we have it, guys. There is the Archean era, or Eon. Hopefully you enjoy that. I'm really finding it really interesting. I did not know that much about these early periods until I did some research, did the research for this. So it's been quite fascinating. Um, so I have noticed that I'm starting to get some listeners on Spotify. So I do thank you if you've been listening. Let yourself be known. Leave a message in the question Q&A section so that I know that who is listening. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down below, leave a like, and of course, whatever platform you're listening to or viewing this on, be sure to follow or subscribe. Um, it would mean the world to me because it would mean that my work will possibly go out to a greater audience. So that would be fantastic. Anyway, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm Noob Minus 72. Wherever you are in the world, have an awesome morning, evening, afternoon. See you later and take care. Bye for now.